Welcome to the GAP 1416 Music Teaching Method video tutorial, the modes. Early years music lesson, how to work out 147 modes, the correct method of teaching. Here is the early years to year 2 music curriculum. This is a music preparation test paper. Once memorised, learning music becomes very easy to learn. Only then is it possible for primary pupils to fill in all of the test papers. Here is the GAP 1416 Working Out the Modes test paper. Because you have learned everything on the preparation test paper, filling these test papers in is simple. The bottom section is designed to do practical music making. Here we have the top part of the test paper enlarged. This circle is the major scale constructed in a loop. We will be using it to work out 1. The modes, 2. The major scale construction formula, 3. The major scale chord sequences, all of this in the correct chronological order. The circle is made up of 7 segments. Each segment has 3 rings. The outer ring will contain the modes. The centre ring will contain the major scale construction formula. The inner ring will contain the major scale chord sequences. Because you have learned the musical alphabet, we can now add that to the test paper. Here we have Lily May, a 5-year-old reception pupil. This proves all the modules required to fill in this test paper can be taught at early years. And what's your name?
Lily May.
And how old are you?
5.
Which school do you go to?
St Peter's Church.
In Ensford, Cannock, yes. Right. Close your eyes then. Can you say your musical alphabet?
A flat A, B flat B, C, C sharp D, E flat E, F sharp G. Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixer, Lydian, Ionian, Locrian.
Can you say your chord sequences?
F.
No. Major.
Major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminish. Root note, tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone.
Here we have Jacob, a 5-year-old year 1 pupil. He has learned all the modules. How old are you, Jacob?
5.
Which school do you go to? Right, what year are you in?
1.
Year 1. Say your musical alphabet.
A flat A, B flat B, C, C sharp D, E flat E, F sharp D.
Say your modes.
Dorian.
Again,
Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, and Mixer, Lydian, Ionian, Locrian.
Right. Say your major scale chord sequences.
1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 1.
Now say your major scale chord sequences.
2, 2, 2.
No. Major.
Major, minor, diminish.
This is the only information that you require to work out every mode. All the modes are constructed using the major scale. We start filling in the circle using this segment first. We must use this segment. We always travel in a clockwise direction to the next segment. We start with the Ionian mode. We use the first 2 letters to fill in the outer circle only. We can now write IO in the circle. Remember, these rings only contain the modes. We can now move on to the next segment, and the next mode is the Dorian. We can now enter the first 2 letters DO. We now move on to the next segment and repeat the process. The next mode is Phrygian, followed by Lydian, followed by Mixer Lydian, followed by Aeolian, and the final mode is Locrian. We have now completed filling in all the modes. We will now fill in the major scale construction formula. This is root 221, 2221 in this order. We use the same starting segment. Now we use the centre rings. We would write R for root in this segment. Before this we must leave it blank. We now move on to the next segment and we fill in this section. We can now enter 2. The next segment we can enter the next major scale construction number, Phrygian 2. We repeat this process, Lydian 1, Mixolydian 2, Aeolian 2, Locrian 2, and finally Ionian 1. We have now entered our major scale construction formula in the correct sequence. Remember that the major scale starts and ends on the same note, so we only use the last note to fill in the Ionian mode, which is 1. We can now fill in our final ring, the major scale chord sequence. Our first chord is a major chord, so we can enter a capital M. This denotes it is a major chord. We can now repeat this process. A lowercase m denotes it is a minor chord. Dorian minor, Phrygian minor, Lydian major, Mixolydian major, Aeolian minor, and finally Locrian diminished chord. So we have entered all the chords in their correct order. Major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. We can now use this circle to work out every mode in any key. To do this, we first have to work out the mode's construction formula. For this demonstration, we are going to work out the construction formula for the Phrygian mode. We start on the Phrygian mode, move round in a clockwise direction, and we finish on the Phrygian mode. To work out the construction formula, we now use the major scale construction ring, centre ring. Here it is filled in with the number 2. We now replace it with the letter R. This denotes it is the root note for the Phrygian construction formula. We can now enter R. In our Phrygian segment, our chord construction formula denotes it is a minor chord. So we can now enter M. We now move in a clockwise direction, Lydian 1, a major chord, Mixolydian 2, major chord, Aeolian 2, minor chord, Locrian 2, diminished chord, Ionian 1, major chord, Dorian 2, minor chord, and finally we finish back on the Phrygian mode 2, minor chord. We have now worked out our Phrygian mode construction formula, root 1, 2, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2. We have also worked out our Phrygian chord sequence, minor, major, major, minor, diminished, major, minor, minor. On our test paper, we have a few modes ready for you to work out. For this demonstration, we are now going to work out the Phrygian mode using the key of D. We will now enlarge our page and bring in our piano diagram. We have now entered our key note, which is D. We are now ready to construct our Phrygian mode in the key of D. We now have to use our construction formula and work out our notes from the musical alphabet. Here we have highlighted the note D. This is our start point on the advanced musical alphabet. We now see that the chord formula is a minor chord. We can now indicate that this is D minor chord. Our formula now indicates that we require to move up the musical alphabet one note. We can now see that we have the choice of 2 notes. We will be using notes that contain flats only. We now enter E flat as our next required note. This is a major chord. Our formula indicates we now advance 2 notes up the musical alphabet. This note is F. We can now enter F. This indicates this is a major chord. Our formula now indicates that we require to move up the musical alphabet 2 notes. This note is G. We can now enter G. This indicates this is a minor chord. Our formula now indicates that we require to move up the alphabet 2 notes. This note is A. This indicates this is a diminished chord. Our formula now indicates that we require to move up the alphabet 1 note. This note is B flat. We can now enter B flat. This indicates this is a major chord. Our formula indicates we now advance 2 notes up the musical alphabet. This note is C. We can now enter C. This indicates this is a minor chord. Finally, we now advance 2 notes to D. This is an octave higher than our starting note D. We can now enter our last note D. This indicates this is a minor chord. We have now constructed our Phrygian mode in the key of D. We now have 2 pieces of information about our Phrygian mode in the key of D. 1. We have the Phrygian chord progression: D minor, E flat, F, G minor, A diminished, B flat, C minor, and finally D minor. Number 2. We have our Phrygian notes: D, E flat, F, G, A, B flat, C, and D. We will now enter our Phrygian scale mode onto our piano. The note D. This works for both D notes in the scale. The note E flat, the note F, the note G, the note A, the note B flat, and the last note C. Here are all our required notes to play the D Phrygian scale on the piano. We use this process to work out any mode in any key. There are only a maximum of 147 modes. You can now work out all of them. We will now demonstrate how to work out the notes required for every chord in the D Phrygian chord progression. Gap music teaching methods. How to work out your chords using the modes. Simple lesson. In our D Phrygian mode, we have 2 D minor chords. We only require 1. We will delete the last chord. Here we have our D minor chord. All we do is count up the next 5 notes, with D minor being number 1. We then only use the first, the third and the 5th notes only. Number 1 is the note D. Number 3 is the note F, and number 5 is the note A. So the required notes to play the chord of D minor is D, F, and A. We will now construct the chord F. We count up 5 notes and only use the 1st, 3rd, and 5th notes only. To play the chord of F, we use the notes F, A, and C. This works for any chord. We will now construct the chord A diminished. We number them from 1 to 5. To play the chord A diminished, we play the 1st, 3rd and 5th notes, A, C and E flat. Finally, we will work out the chord C minor. Count 5 notes up and only use the 1st, 3rd and 5th notes. To play the chord C minor, we play the notes C, E flat and G. This is why we have chord sequences associated with a major scale. You will have already memorised your chord construction formulas, but knowing this is part of the music theory lessons. If music was taught correctly in schools, children at early years can be taught music classed impossible to teach in primary education.